Yes, as I narrated it, but of course not in much detail. Safe to say that, yeah, that happened. It happened like that because apparently my parents noticed that I was doing extremely well in class, both in primary. So it was decided that, well, those years, education of girls was still not taken very seriously. So they say now, since the boy is doing better than the girl, let the boy continue. Yes.
And let's come to your bit, Speaker. You spoke passionately on Sunday during your endorsement, and you spoke about the cost of yields of farming, the cost of commodities as it is today, and the cartels therein. And first of all, it's a big topic right now, even on social media. Lower food prices. What would a Justin Muturi government mean for the people who are agitating for the lowering of commodity prices in the country?
Well, I think it is fair that this topic be addressed because in full, because I think there's a lot that has not been understood. When you talk about the cost of farm inputs, it's have gone through the roofs, and it's only fair that today we ask ourselves why. Why is it that people in Kenya would buy eggs from Uganda cheaply than the eggs produced here locally? Why is it that Kenyans, and I can tell you this because, like I said in my brief bio on Sunday, I began my working career in Western Kenya, and I still even then remember at that time Uganda was really under those failed the second Obote administration, and I still used to see Kenyan grain traders, serious traders, coming to buy grain from Uganda. So, and it always perplexed me why. It was almost what you would call a failed state, because there really was no government then. But one thing that made that country remain stable was food. They never ran short of food, and this has caused me to go deeper and try to find out why is it so. Even our neighbors in Tanzania, thing that has kept them going is food, grain, cereals. So we must ask ourselves, other than just the quality of seed, what else is it that makes the food so expensive in this country? And I look at it and I see the problem starts from our administration at the ministry level, because we know that the size of land does not increase. If anything, it gets stressed year in, year out, and therefore, so we've been growing grain and all manner of cereals and all manner of other farm produce on the same piece of land over and over, and therefore it becomes necessary to think about that which will give you a better yield. And therefore the issue of fertilizers come to mind. But what surprises me is fertilizer in Uganda is cheaper than it is in Kenya. So you start wondering how come. That fertilizer which is sold in Uganda, used by farmers in Uganda, passes through Kenya. But it is cheaper in Uganda than it is in Kenya.
Factoring even the cost of transportation.
Everything. And then the food, if it is maize or any bananas, whatever, that is produced in Uganda, is still cheaper. So there must be some very, very serious problem here. And here, let me just, I want to say without mincing words, it has to do with cartels. Because ask yourself, why is it that Kenya, Kenyans can import whatever type or size of vehicles from any part of the world? You can import a Mercedes, you can import a V8 from Japan. You, on your own. Why is it that not a single Kenyan is allowed to do the business of importation of fertilizer? Fertilizer in this country is important through cartels or by cartels. Those people dictate the prices of the fertilizer. Even when we hear government saying it's going to subsidize fertilizer, it is subsidizing fertilizer which has been imported by cartels. So it still does not help the farmer. The price that they end up getting, the subsidized fertilizer in Kenya, is still higher, way higher than the cost of the same fertilizer, bag of fertilizer in Uganda. Same in Tanzania. And therefore, this is just clear evidence that the problem is at the administration level.
You talk about administration, Speaker. Sorry for cutting you short. I'm just thinking about probably a local farmer who is doing potatoes or even onions or tomatoes, and you hear the price at which this commodity is being bought, then how the final consumer buys it from the person selling in Nairobi. It's mind-boggling in terms of pricing.
Precisely. It doesn't matter what it is that we are going to produce, as long as we're going to use important farm inputs. The way it is imported in this country, it is designed to benefit a few people. It is no wonder. In fact, I dare say, successful ministers of agriculture in this country have always found themselves getting entangled in that area of farm input, particularly fertilizer imports in this country. It doesn't matter who does what. The simple question that I keep asking is, is it not possible for us to know the cost of fertilizer in the world market? Import where Ugandans import theirs from. Import where Tanzanians import theirs from. So that if it is cheap, why is it cheaper in Uganda and it passes through Kenya? Efforts in the past, we know, have been made by some Kenyans to try and even set up fertilizer factories here. They've never, they just die at the conception stage, because those cartels can never allow people to set up fertilizer manufacturing factories here in Kenya.
You're a powerful person in this country. Do you know the cartels?
Well, I may not know because I'm not in the ministry. I don't know who gets the import licenses. Remember, again, this is something that is done. You are told that there's going to float something. An announcement is put in the media that we are going to open this window to bring this, but the people who are licensed are known to those people in the ministry, at the Ministry of Agriculture and at customs. That's where the problem is. And unless we address that, overhaul it, allow any Kenyan, if you want to import, as long as you have the money and you're importing good quality, we have the Kenya Bureau of Standards to come and inspect what you have brought. If you bring chalk, it will be thrown into the ocean. But as long as you bring that which is certified, and we know this is what is used in Kenya, Kenyan farmers in this place, in the other place, you know what it is, what the kind of fertilizers they need. Allow other people to engage in that business. Why should in fact, you have seen the number of vehicles, second-hand motor vehicles in Kenya. There are so many showrooms in this country. And now they're not just limited to Nairobi and Mombasa. They are all over. In fact, I saw even in village towns like, my home town, Embu. I've seen showrooms, car showrooms, because people are importing vehicles with, without anything to worry about. It's you, the importer, who knows where you're going to sell. So if we allowed more and more people to import fertilizer in this country, I'm sure we'll bring the cost of this input so low that we will never need to go to buy chicken or maize from Uganda or Tanzania. Our tomatoes will be good quality and they'll be cheap. They'll be affordable. Because we are talking about affordability. Once this thing, once it's allowed to be a cartel, obviously, these people are protecting their interests. And I dare say, all those involved in the ministries need to be investigated. Yeah.
The cost of input is not the only thing that adds up to, commodities being high. There's the cost of fuel, there's the cost of electricity. You have been Speaker for the last 9 years. I believe Parliament has technical committees that advise them on issues of legislation and policy. Don't you feel partly responsible as Speaker for the last 9 years? Members of Parliament have passed some of these policies or legislations that have added weight on the shoulders of the consumer.
Thank you. Actually, that's a very... I must really thank you for bringing out this question, because since Sunday, I've seen some people complain that, yes, he cannot complain he has been Speaker. I think these are the people who do not understand the role of a Speaker. The Speaker, in the first instance, the Speaker cannot move a motion, cannot move a bill, cannot even propose an amendment to it. And finally, the Constitution specifically, in Article 122, says the Speaker has no vote. I may have very strong views about whatever bill is being brought from the government side. I may really dislike it. The best I can do is to speak in a way that will show my displeasure, but that's just about all. If the members have been mobilized by the party which has the majority, they will still vote it, notwithstanding how strongly I feel about it. And if they vote, I will still have to declare that they have won, even though I don't believe in what they have done. Because, remember, it was said by one speaker many years ago, on 4th of January, 1642, when the king in England stormed Parliament, because there were some 5 legislators who opposed the king's taxation measures. And the king was so annoyed, King Edward, he was so annoyed, he went there. He went and sat on the speaker's chair. And he said, can you show me those 5 rascals? And the speaker, in the famous words, Speaker James Lenthor said, may it please your lordship, in this place, I have no eyes to see, no tongue to speak, except as directed by this house, whose servant I am. That, to date, 4th of January, 1642, to date, that ably captures the role of a speaker. The speaker is not there to vote in a particular way. In fact, I always find it very strange when I'm with my colleagues, other speakers of some countries, like in Uganda here and in Tanzania, and a few other jurisdictions, where you find a speaker is also a member of parliament. So I ask them, how do you represent your people?
The constituency.
Yes, because when you are a member of parliament, you are supposed to articulate the views of those constituents. Now, as a speaker who cannot vote, are you not denying those constituents their right to fair representation? So I think what we have adopted here in Kenya is actually the most fair system, that the speaker is not a member, does not represent a constituency, and therefore cannot vote on any motion or any bill. The speaker can give direction as to the legality or constitutionality of a law, of a proposed law. But that's just about all. The Speaker's role in many of those instances is advisory, but where the Constitution gives the Speaker the power to make a definitive determination, the Speaker again will do it. If anybody is not happy with the Speaker's ruling at a particular time, they are at liberty to go and test that now in a court of law. But so people have said, oh, these prices, these laws have been brought. Even this year, the finance bill is going to come. It may contain some crazy proposals. The Speaker will, at the very best, look at them. If there's nothing against the Constitution, you leave it to the members to make a determination.
But very quickly, Speaker, and I'm sure you've met some of these allegations. When you speak about the corruption, there are people who think you have presided over the most corrupt parliament session ever. What would be your response?
You know, when you say the most corrupt parliament, I don't know because I don't know how what it is that they have done. There have been those, of course, occasional allegations that this one, I don't know, go to the toilet to receive some envelope. I have no way of verifying some of these allegations. And you know, even when I attempted to investigate, the people who made the allegations came and denied. Even those ones who are actually caught on TV, saying, and I don't show them, are you not this or this one? They say, no, I never meant that. I said, what do you mean? You never meant that. You didn't say that this one. No. So what do you do?
You even had an instance last year with Moses Kuria and another person accusing each other of 100,000 bribe passing through the.
I think some of those ones are just people trying to settle political scores. I don't think that there was any. There was no truth in some of those. I think they were trying to settle political scores because I don't think it was not true. Even when we tried to ask him, he said no. He never. It was never intended for the House. So now you start wondering if it's just a question of a person. If you are called honorable member, surely you should go back to chapter 6. The title you carry it whether in the House or outside the House.
What's next for J.B. Muturi, now the party leader of the DP party and a presidential hopeful? What do you do between now and the next elections?
Starting now is very, very intense popularization of the candidature and the party. And like they always say, charity begins at home. I have said time and again that I find nothing wrong with a party being strong in a particular region. It is not unheard of. Even wherever, even in the US, we see red, blue states, what. And therefore, it's up to you as the members of that party to grow it beyond your region. But to begin somewhere and move out is natural. And I don't think whether it is anything, it's not. Remember, the Constitution actually recognizes our ethnic diversity, but advises that should be our strength as opposed to the reason for our weaknesses.
All right. Are we going to see Justin Muturi forming his own coalition? We have Kenya Kwanza, we have Azimio as your competitors. And clearly, on Sunday, we heard you say you're not joining any of them. So are we going to see Justin Muturi seeking new alliances? Because it appears like a foregone conclusion, Speaker, that it is unlikely that you're going to form government next if you don't align yourself to a coalition.
Let me say this. Some people have very many ways of defining victory. If you ask those who have been in leadership of political parties, they have moved step by step. So you cannot start a journey and then the first thing you start looking for is somebody to carry you, like a baby oryx. Remember that baby oryx on the top of a lion? No. I think it will be, again, it will be bad manners. It is good to grow slowly, grow your party, convince people. Who knows? Who knows? They say a day in politics is a long time. And therefore, this is February, March, 9th of August. I think there's enough time for us to grow this party and grow this into a movement that will also attract others. We are not saying that we don't welcome others. We do. But of course, we have our own standards. Remember, this is a party that really stands for justice and unity. And in addition, I am bringing in the mantra of integrity. Yeah. Because we need to, there are some people you'll get into. And if you listen to my speech, when I was giving that short history, NARC came together, but because NARC came together for the purpose of grabbing power, within the first 1 year, and I can tell you this because I was the minority whip, we are called the opposition whip, I could tell those people who are already in government, already beginning to come. Some of them were telling us, I can recall some incidents. One time I was leading the Public Investments Committee on a tour in Germany, and some minister then came and gave us some very weird story. How they wanted me, as a whip, to talk to others, see whether we can move a vote of no confidence in the government of President Kibaki. First time. I listened and I wondered, oh, but this is minister. You are minister. And then, of course, try to say, people will be given money to go and run in their campaigns. Say, what is that now? So it just shows that if you come together, if you go into bed with some crazy bedfellows, utachomoka asubuhi. Utachomoka asubuhi. Kwa sababu utaanza kusikia, kumbe alikuwa na miiba huyu. Utaanza kukuchoma kila pahali. So it's good, even as you move to, have candid discussion with whomever it is that you want to move together with, if at all. Otherwise, there's no harm in you sticking to your lane. There's no harm.
There's no harm in sticking.
There's no harm. I mean, we have seen very many parties survive. They have 10, 12 members, 14 members, 23 members, but they're still surviving. So victory is defined in relative terms. Yeah. So you should not worry. You shouldn't worry that this is not going to happen. No, I have confidence, and that's what I have.
All right. You say you don't mind walking alone. I know I'm under pressure to wind up, but I must ask you this: you don't mind walking alone. Are you saying that, as it is, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza are not options for Speaker J.B. Muturi?
I have not said that. I've said that if we were to go into any negotiations with any one of them, we must have everything on the table. Everything on the table, so that you know what it is. And I'm not, fortunately for me, I'm not the type that can be pushed around. Remember, I am saying this party has a great name and a great founder or founders. I would want to maintain the good name of the party and not go into some hurried arrangements with people with whom I may have questionable issues with.
Right.
So it's good for me to say this upfront that in as much as we talk with everybody, because in an event, leaders of political parties talk all the time. In fact, it is the founder of DP, Mwai Kibaki, who at one time was asked about what they were doing with Kina Charity Ngilo. And they were just having tea, and he said, there's a lot of politics in tea. So leaders of political parties meet all the time, have tea, and discuss all manner of things. But it's up to you to make what you may out of every discussion you have with other people. Yeah.
Lastly, you talked about political hygiene in your speech. I heard you accuse people of changing parties like underwear, and you talked about bad manners. And then you said you appeared to have a problem with President Uhuru Kenyatta endorsing anybody as he exits. Why do you have a problem?
I've not said I have a problem with the president endorsing anybody. No, I never said that. It is his right. I'm acutely aware of Article 38 of the Constitution, political rights. It would be unfair to deny the president the rights to choose whomever he likes or he prefers. It was I never spoke in those on those lines. I mean, he has a right as much as I have. If he cannot deny me my rights, because he can't. So how would I also
deny
imagine saying it is wrong for him to exercise his political right? But I said I have difficulties understanding a situation where a sitting government would moves away from government into opposition to form a government. It's a very strange. That I have difficulties with. And
government joining opposition
to form government.
Okay.
I mean, if it is the other way around, opposition moving from opposition to join government to form government, that makes sense. But the government, you move away from government to go into opposition to form government. I mean, so what have you been doing? That's what I have difficulties with.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Very understandable. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you
for joining us tonight, and wish you all the best in your bid to popularize DP and your presidential ambitions. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Asante sana.
And so we put a cap on Extra Mile tonight. I'm Latifa. Keep watching KBC because Kenya is watching.